Well, shocking incident now on camera from the financial capital of Mumbai, wherein a sanitation worker who was in fact cleaning a manhole was mowed to death by a vehicle which ran over him. And this is in the suburb of Kandivali in Mumbai. This is when a sanitation worker was in fact cleaning a manhole, and you can see the visuals there of a vehicle that actually ran over him even as he was simply doing his job. An FIR has now been registered in this matter at the Kandivali police station under sections 304A, which is culpable homicide not amounting to murder, and sections 336 and 279. Two people have been arrested, a driver and a contractor. The contractor has been arrested because there was no barricading around the manhole where this work was being undertaken at that point in time. As you can see on the visuals, the car simply runs over the worker in question and then tries to reverse immediately upon two people rushing to the spot and trying to rescue him. Let me go across to Arunil. Arunil, this is an absolutely brutal incident that's been captured on camera. Tell us about the follow-up action that's now been taken by the police after this horrible death.
The horrific incident captured on camera. These are the CCTV visuals which basically we are showing. You can see basically a cleanliness worker was there present. Basically he was doing his work, and immediately a vehicle basically over him. The vehicle basically moved that cleanliness worker to an unfortunate and a very brutal death. An FIR has been registered by the local Kandivali police. The incident was reported in Kandivali. FIR has been registered under sections 3048, 336 and 279. And yes, the Kandivali police have arrested two people in the case. One is the driver as well as the contractor. The contractor is at fault. The reason for that is when this work of cleanliness on the manhole was being done, you can see there were, the entire area was not barricaded. So action is being taken against the driver for rash driving and for negligent driving, and against the contractor as well.
And Arunil, this is, so of course there was no barricading there. We'd advise discretion to our viewers as well. The visuals can be quite triggering. But the manhole was open, Arunil. So therefore, is the driver in any position to say that he was not able to witness the sanitation worker performing his duties? Of course, there was no barricading, so that's negligence on the part of the authorities as well. So there are lapses on multiple counts here.
Well, primarily, if we go by the CCTV visuals, Siddharth, it looks like the driver may not have been at much of a fault because he was not driving at a high speed. The fault seems to be of the contractor, because the proper barricading which needs to be done when any contractor, when any laborer is doing any work on the road, that was not being done. So yes, obviously, it seems like the driver of the car may not have done it purposely. Exactly how he was driving, whether he was looking into his phone, whether he was not able to notice the person who was cleaning the manhole, because you can clearly see that the person in the manhole had gone down and then he immediately came up, and that is how basically the car rammed into his face. Very, very brutal incident being reported from Kandivali in western suburbs of Mumbai, and the driver and the contractor have been arrested.
And Kandivali being a suburb, a western suburb of Mumbai, Arunil, presumably all this comes under the BMC's jurisdiction. Has there been any statement forthcoming from them about this negligence?
Well, the BMC is yet to give out a statement on this. In fact, the several incidents that have been reported, rain-related incidents as well, it basically mounts immense pressure on the BMC. And one important thing that needs to be noted, Siddharth, is that the BMC's term has ended since around 8 months. BMC elections are not been held in the city of Mumbai. Obviously, the BMC commissioner is in charge, but the mayor is not there. Locals in Mumbai don't have a corporator to speak to. And this is a very unprecedented kind of a situation in the city of Mumbai. And whom exactly to blame for civic issues as well, whom exactly to approach, that is the problem that Mumbaikars are facing at present, Siddharth.
Yes, and Arunil, strong sections of the IPC, but obviously there'll be demands for some more stringent action to be taken, because section 304A pertains to rash and negligent driving. But if the BMC has to be held to account, simply a case of negligence would not do, because after all a life has been lost and the sanitation worker presumably is affiliated to the BMC.
That is right, Siddharth. In fact, the sanitation worker is affiliated with the BMC, and what charges basically the cops take against the local BMC ward officers, or if at all the sanitation worker was basically associated with any private agency or the private society, then obviously action needs to be taken against the society as well. The contractor has been charged and has been arrested by the local police in this case. With respect to the driver as well, he has been booked for negligent driving. But in this case, if we clearly look at the CCTV visuals, it seems like there is a high possibility that the driver may not have noticed the laborer who was working in the manhole, because the laborer basically goes down inside the manhole, and immediately when he comes up, the car basically rams into his space. Clearly, the authorities in the BMC in this scenario...
We have some more reactions coming in. Arunil, please stay with us. We have some more reactions coming in. Let's tune in. Okay, we have Kritzween as well. Kritzween will take us through the actual CCTV footage in question. It's an extremely horrible incident. Viewer discretion is advised. Yes, Kritzween, what exactly happened?
Let's tell our viewers, Siddharth, why Arunil is saying that, perhaps all the blame cannot be put on the driver alone here. The contractor is the one who needs to be pulled up. Let me quickly take you through this video as Times Now has managed to access. That's the sanitation worker. Now, of course, going ahead with whatever job he's doing as far as this manhole is concerned. The manhole is open. He's going in. He's coming out with a slab or something concrete. And there you see the driver. And he's at a very slow speed, relatively slow speed, so he wasn't overspeeding clearly. He clearly runs his car over the sanitation worker, and this particular man who was assisting the sanitation worker also quickly apprises the driver of the situation is when he reverses his car. So it's very clear that the driver could not see the sanitation worker, and that's why those questions need to be asked of the contractor. Why is it, I'm going to quickly go back to this particular scene, why is it that this area was not barricaded? There were no alert cones which were placed in this particular area, and there are so many cars parked here. It's a route that perhaps many do take. So why is it that the contractor went ahead with this kind of a negligence? So I'm not quite sure whether or not the driver can be entirely blamed. It's not as though he ran over the sanitation worker and he fled the spot. You can clearly see that upon this guy, the other person who was assisting the sanitation worker, carrying out the operations with him, the moment he tells the driver that there is a man who was undergoing certain sort of a job as far as this manhole is concerned, he slowly reverses his car. But look at the manner in which the sanitation worker, of course, sustained injuries. He needed to be pulled out. There were two, three people who came to his rescue and pulled him out of the manhole. Very shocking, very unfortunate. Let's see what the investigations reveal, Siddharth.
Arunil is still with us. Arunil, let's in fact take our viewers through the charges that are now being filed. One is under section 304A, which is rash and negligent driving. That's against the driver. Then there is section 336 of the IPC, which is whosoever does any act to rashly or negligently endanger human life. The maximum punishment for this is 3 months with a fine. And the third section that has been filed is again section 279, which is again driving or riding a vehicle in a negligent manner. So two of these charges, of course, pertain to the driver. One other might be for the contractor who's not barricaded the area. But the maximum punishment there is just 3 months, and therefore that will now need to be upgraded given the fact that there is a life that is being lost as a consequence of that inaction.
Well, we will only hope, Siddharth, that such kind of an untoward, such kind of a very horrid and unfortunate incident, proper punishment is meted out to all the authorities concerned over here, because why those precautions were not being taken here in this case as well, how Crispin was pointing out, it may be a possibility that the driver may not have seen the sanitation worker, but it was responsibility of the authorities over here, basically the contractor in question, to ensure that the area was properly barricaded. That was not being done, unfortunately, and that is why it has resulted into this very, very unfortunate accident, one can say, wherein this sanitation worker has lost his life.
Right,
we hope that proper action and punishment has been meted out to the guilty in this
And case. Obviously an explanation is due from the Mumbai Municipal Corporation as well. Thanks Arunil as well as Kritzween for taking us through all the details pertaining to this shocking development from Mumbai. We're taking a short break right now. We'll come back with more on the other side.